Good night. It's now turned the 4th of November 2025, and I'm just out here in the workshop. I was working late because it's a great chance to get tricky work done. I was working on a small little part, and you could easily drop it and not be able to find it, or you could do all sorts of things. It involved turning, filing, hardening, silver soldering, and tempering little bits for a job I'm doing. Anyway, it's nice and quiet, and now I'm quit. And now I'm done. So, for my new subscribers there, and I have a good few new subscribers. Friday morning last, Friday morning last. What day was that? It was Halloween, the morning of Halloween, the 31st of October. I had 11,774 subscribers, and I now have 11,816. So that's a lot in a short time. Some of you are newcomers here. Some of you are from Ireland, some of you are from Britain, some of you are from the United States and further afield. Anyway, the thing is, my YouTube channel is designed and intended to be like if I knew you and I was walking up the street and you came over and said, "How are you? What's the story?" And we talk. And I find that happens an awful lot. People want to chat, what's happening, this or that, or they have problems. Sometimes I can help people a little bit, and I try to if I can, and have done. And sometimes it's just a chat about the economy or whatever. And there's no doubt one of the things that happened to me a few times is that I had a problem, or there was something I wanted, and I did not have the information. And even if I never was a policeman, and I was a policeman for 32 years, I believe I would have studied the law. And half of the law that I know is obtained from study, but also from a business degree course, which had nothing at all to do with policing or anything else, especially the civil law, which is actually the most useful bit of it. So anyway, so I study. I like to know what's going on, and I like to know what the real thing is and what the real scene is. And of course, everyone and most people now are very concerned about the mass migration into our country. To see a few small handful of Irish opportunists who take in the migrants and house them and all that, making a small fortune out of it, and buying up land of neighbours and everything else. And it may eventually shake up the two-party system, because I know of people, Fine Gael people, who were prevented from buying properties, whose kids can't get a house, who their children's gone off abroad, and I know Fianna Fáil people the same. So it will affect a bit future generations, but it won't affect much of the present generation. And to tell you the truth, the biggest political changer in Ireland is a website known as rip.ie. This is a harsh thing to say, but I'm not courting popularity. rip.ie, that's one thing. When you get on that, it announces your death. You won't vote again, no matter how big a Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael supporter you are. So that's what's weakened them big time. Now the thing about it is too, some people say, you don't do yourself any favours the way you go on. I'm not looking for favours. I'll tell you, approaching 12,000 subscribers is no mean feat. And you won't do that by being a nanny. By being a nanny. Hello, how are you doing? I'm talking to you here from Ireland. Are you over in America? How are you? How's your Auntie Julia? That's not my scene at all. Not my scene at all. Although I do often have a chat like that with people. Not my scene at all. And so it still works. It still works. Now, the other thing people say is you're not doing yourself any favour, backing Trump. You must remember that we were facing the horror of Joe Biden. Joe Biden destroyed America and gave the idea to our lefties in Ireland to do the same, and did untold damage. And then Kamala Harris was coming on after him with Tampax Tim, and they had him in mind for vice president and her for president. Anyone that doesn't appreciate the horrors of Kamala Harris needs to get themselves educated. A horror show, a freak show, and a horror show. That's what she is. A word salad, no little bit of substance or understanding or brain power at all. So that's the story there. So in that regard, Trump was great, and Trump has done a lot of good, and he has done things. Now, one of the things that people don't like me for is when they say he's horsing out all the migrants out of America. What about our migrants in America? We have people in America. Too bad. I'm not yielding on it. I'm not saying that I don't have sympathy for them and they did a lot of good. There are opportunities there and new visa things given. I think there's one going at the moment and a lot of people availed of it. But it wouldn't bother me much. I mean, if you're illegal in America, you're the same as a crowd of Muslim Islamic thugs there to kill. So you're in the same category. So what's the state to do? Make one law for you and one law for the thug. It's just too bad, but that's it. I'm not yielding on that. I'm not apologising for that. Trump has stopped the whole migration, and that's good. And I think he's doing a good job on stopping the drugs. He's given them a good doing. So that's good. But that doesn't mean things can't change and people can change. And I knew people who changed immensely over the period of 10 years. And he could change. And we don't know what he's going to do or what any president's going to do. But generally speaking, presidents of the United States invade other countries. That's what they have always done. And I don't see it ever changing. I can't see it. Because even if he doesn't want it, there's plenty around him who do. So it's a qualified support. But it was great to get him in. Only that time we were ruined. And you look at how he's forced change on the world. You look at it. If Biden or Harris was in, they'd give Ukraine and everything and military support and start a war with Russia. We'd probably be in a war with Russia now. So Trump is staying clear of a war with Russia, and he has an unusual way of going on. So anyway, he has qualified support for me. That's it. Other people complain, oh, you should back him to the hilt, and others say you shouldn't back him at all. We treat everyone with a degree of skepticism. Anyway, the main thing about my channel is like if you stood into a door for a chat, this is what you get out of it. And I know a lot of people, I know couples and single people, they tell me, we watch the news at 9 o'clock and we put on Val for 20 minutes and we see what he has to say. And there's people rang me. There was one time there I didn't priority videos. I think I was at the Sillage or something. I just didn't bother because I was getting calls. And, we want to see more videos. So the thing about it is, and it's all sectors of the population, and there's a lot of people watching me that dare not say it. There's a lot of people watching me who wouldn't tell it, wouldn't say, I don't know who he is. Oh, I never heard of him. Even though the cock was crowing 3 times, they'd still deny me. And I don't care. So anyway, that's the thing. I see there are Albert Reynolds that had a big recognition for him in Longford. And Albert was a Fianna Fáil Taoiseach. He was a musician as well. But he did do a bit of good, all right. He did try to get the peace process done. He did done that, and I'll give him that. He was Fianna Fáil. Well, the fact that he was a Fianna Fáil Taoiseach shows that he wasn't. There was something wrong. You don't get to be there by being straight, I can tell you that. But one of the things that happened to him was, some of the newspapers, I think it was the Times of London, said he was a Gombeen. Now, if you look up the cases he took, it won't tell you that. But they said he was a Gombeen. And he sued, and all he got was a penny. 1 penny. And he kept going on, and eventually it was settled. But to my notion, he had no case. You can't sue for your good name by being called a Gombeen. That's hyperbole. If that was the case, if I called Eamon Ryan Cabbage Head, he could sue me. That was bad law. And Albert took it very personal, he took it very personal. Just call me a Gombeen. I wouldn't give a damn. It's not a derogatory. It may be derogatory, it may be laugh, but it's not your good name. In order for your good name to be taken, somebody has to say, do you know what you've done? You know what he done? He's robbing the priest. He's robbing the priest box going round on a Sunday. Instead of putting in €10, he puts it in his hand. He takes it out. If somebody said that, and it wasn't in joking, well then I suppose I'd be entitled to sue, even though I probably wouldn't. Somebody said he lifted a young lad. Suppose I give a girl a lift in the rain, say a girl of 12, and I dropped her off at the end of the road or up near the house. Good luck. And next thing someone says, oh, he molested her. Oh, he molested her. Well, she mightn't make any complaint. I presume she wouldn't. Why would she? But if someone said that's kind of actionable, all right. I think it should be very hard to prove any kind of defamation, really. But that's the sort of thing that's really, you have to prove that something is against the law or something that is disgusting, and it has to be against the law. And being a Gombeen is not against the law. So that'll do. Enough said on that. You're welcome back. We'll keep a few videos going. I'm from in rural Ireland here, and I call myself a farmer with cows. Someone said Danny Healy-Rae. I was talking to a lad today. Somebody asked him, what's so different about you? Someone up on RTE, the national broadcaster, asked him, what's so different about you? I ate me dinner in the middle of the day, he says, meaning that all the toffee nose and the swanks all have lunch, and that's lunch at 1 o'clock, and then they have dinner. Well, if I ate a good lunch at 1 o'clock, I wouldn't need a dinner. That's what he said. It was a good answer all the same. Anyway, we'll let you go with that. I'll tell you a piece one time. I don't know did I tell you this. In Ireland, we call an incident or an event a piece. So if there was a pub there and there was 3 customers in it last night and they're all quiet and they all went home, there's no piece. It doesn't mean P-E-R-C-E, it's P-I-E-C-E, a piece of cake. But if there was another lad came in then the next night and a row broke out and one hit the other and threw a glass at the barman, that'd be a piece of crack or a piece of fun. Do you know what I mean? But there was a church in a coastal town in Ireland away back years ago, and there was a detective guard in it, and he was a countryman, and he was an ordinary lad enough. I can't really say good or bad about him, but he got on all right. But he was a detective, and the priest reported that somebody was stealing the money. And the way this church was, there was a slot like a letterbox. Now my hands are dirty, folks. There was a slot like a letterbox. You know the way a letterbox has you push the thing up. That's to stop the rain getting out. So when you put in your letter, you push it up and it goes in. Well, this one was this way. It was down this way. You know, you just put in. It was for donations and the church building fund. You just threw your envelope into it and they were collected there. Do you understand? So anyway, there was a church. There was an appeal for something that the priest asked for, which is give a little extra on a son and throw it into the wee room. So there was a little foyer, and then there was the door, and there was the main door which was open, and the foyer was across a double door. But this little room was to the left. There was nothing we'll say here, but where you were, there was a little room, maybe the size of 2 big tables, two ordinary tables. And so I'm shivering now, I'm getting cold. So the thing about it was, anyway, they were going in and they were putting in their money into the little hole. At that time it might only be £5 or £10 or whatever it was. But they threw in a few bob good in, maybe loose change and everything else. But what happened only, didn't this guy get a big envelope? And he propped it open. I have no envelope here. I'm out in the workshop. He propped it open. Pause there. This is an envelope here that I got flux for brazing, special flux for delicate work. So I can show you on this. So what was done was that there was a little slot going in about that width. He put this guy, whoever was doing this thievery, stuck an envelope like that. And he propped it on both sides here with some kind of a paper clip, like that. Do you see what I mean? Like that. And he sellotaped it down, or taped it down on the lip of the opening. You know, he put it an open. So it was tied down like that. Now the result was that when you threw in money, Some were to go each side, but the most of it went into the envelope. You just throw it in there, and some were to go into the envelope. And he waited till about the Holy Communion, it'd be Mass, Catholic Mass. He waited till that time, and he then put in his hand, and he took his envelope and he pulled it up, put it under his arm, or put it somewhere, and away he went. Do you understand now? Have I explained that to you? Somebody who was thieving decided to rob the priest by putting an envelope like that, and he had a bit of a prop on both sides. He had a cork, but however it was done anyway, some of the money went into the envelope. And he didn't want it all, but some of it did. So the priest began to notice this. Was something wrong. He wasn't getting half the money. And he reported to the guards. So what did this detective do? Only go up this Mass day and shut the door. There was a door on it. You shut the door and locked it anyway. And he sat inside on a chair watching. And the next thing was he saw this lad putting the envelope in. He only seen was a hand. He saw the envelope coming in and it had been stuck on both sides like that. And he didn't know what was the envelope for. And the next thing, sure enough, he saw people coming in and he saw the money being thrown in, and some were going each side and some were going into the envelope. So the next thing was he waited. And you see, there'd be 25 minutes before the start of Mass, there'd be an odd straggler coming in, and we'll say Holy Communion. So your man was sitting there, the detective, and he was sitting there waiting and watching to see what had happened. And the next thing is this hand came in, two hands, and went to take the envelope. This hand came in, went to take it, and with that the detective grabbed him. And he grabbed his hands. But the problem was, he could hold him this way, but he couldn't get out through the door. The door was over here to go round to catch him. And he was looking up to see, could he see him? Your man was trying to get away, you see. So he couldn't, he had him like this. And your man was chucking, but if he let him go, you see, he was gone. And if he went out through the door to get him, when he let him go, he'd run. So eventually he either broke free of him or he had to let him go. And the detective had to open the lock on the door. That delayed him. But he opened the lock on the door and he got out. And he was quick enough. He ran out and there was nobody there. And he could nearly gather from the movement of your man that whoever did it went into the church and not out of the church. So that was that. So eventually, anyway, 2 and 2 was put together, and they suspected a person who was helping the Holy Father in the church, the priest, was doing a bit of work around the church and always hanging about the church a bit and being a good man, but he was helping himself this way, and he was eventually caught. He admitted it, or he caught him out anyway. And when he was caught, of course, the thieving stopped. That ended it. And the detective put in a file to the superintendent, and the superintendent was very religious, very pompous man. Not a bad fella. He done me a few favours because I came there after this happened, but he was a pompous man, but he was all right. But the detective wanted him prosecuted, and the superintendent, the priest and the superintendent had a bit of a chat, and they decided it wouldn't look very well for the church or anything like that if the church was being robbed by its own people, by its own work helpers. And how I knew about it was, a good while later, there was a function for the superintendent who was leaving on promotion. And when your man got a few drinks, they were all giving a bit of a speech. He stood up and he says, there was a man here, should have been prosecuted, and he wasn't prosecuted. And he told me, I didn't know what this was about. And the super had a big red face. Anyway, I tell it as a true story. That actually happened. And I happened to be in the station, but I was in a good few stations. I was in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I was in 8 stations. So that's it. So now we let you go with that, folks. But that's a true story. He had him caught, and he couldn't get out. And he was a bit of a character, this detective too. He was a bit of a character, and sometimes take him up too much drink as well. But he couldn't. He had a hold of him, a good hold, a good tight grip, but he couldn't open the door. If he opened the door, your man would escape. Anyway, we'll see you back, folks. So we are welcome for my new subscribers. It's cold here, and we'll have a bit of fun. Anyway, that's all it is, just a bit of a chat. But there is something that I know fairly well, and I'll try to share that with people. And then the problem is, if you keep watching me long enough, you'll be as smart as me. That never do. Bye-bye. We'll see you. Good luck.